Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Hearthstone Battlegrounds Lobby Legends Hallow's End. We call it Hallow's End because Halloween ended 2 weeks ago. That's why it's called that. I'm TJ, joined by Sottle once again, and we're about to jump into game number 2 of Lobby. Is it Lobby A? Is it A or is it 1?
A.
It's A. Okay, game 2 of Lobby A. Thank you very much, Sottle. And fantasy team picks. Yeah, no surprise that Say is up at the top, given Say's recent performances. Not even just recent performances, but performances throughout the entire year. Winning in Lobby Legends 6 and 2 other appearances on broadcast besides this.
Honestly, like, you can tell the Battlegrounds audience is very different from the constructed audience, right? Because the constructed audience would know that I am a prediction god. So as soon as they saw Kunking's name on the screen under my picks, they would have flocked the bandwagon on my choice overall. But not good enough in that instance. He was the lowest picked player. So unfortunately for chat, Kunking picked up the victory in game number 1.
Well, Sottle, you do not have 2 prediction trophies.
Yes, I do.
In your view of sight, do you?
Yes, I do. I have 3, in fact.
You got trophies too? I thought I stole all of them.
No, if you remember, you only have them because there was like a 2-for-1 deal on every trophy.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't.
So you
it wasn't
just kept the extra one. You've never won any. I've won the legitimate ones. You've kept the copy of them all.
I remember.
You never actually won. Yes.
My memory said that I just stole all of them.
Yes.
And kept them because I won once and we didn't have a trophy the time that I won. So that was unfortunate. So to avenge the fact that I did not have a trophy the time that I won, I stole all of the trophies. But yes, you're right. When you buy trophies, it's the same price to buy 2 to buy 1. And we figured that we might as well have a backup in case the first one gets lost, broken, stolen. And so I just took them. So now I have 2, and I think I have a half prediction trophy as well somewhere. Broke on something. All right, here we go. Get into the game. This is a very, I would say, unique game in terms of hero choices. A lot of mid to high tier armor heroes.
Yeah.
We also have a Cookie and a Varden at the bottom. So
yeah, Zyrella, a hero I kind of threw some shade at in the first game of this lobby. Just something that my results have kind of fallen off a cliff with Zyrella. Was one of my best performing heroes, probably top 10 performing heroes previously. And then in this metagame, it's just kind of fallen off a cliff. Again, I feel like the ability to leverage gold and find weird curves, because what Zyrella did really well was level, sneak in buying a minion while you're leveling for a little bit of extra value, and then greed a triple into a 5 or a 6 very, very quickly, that kind of thing. And it's the kind of gameplay that just doesn't really work super well at the moment. You do tend to be more successful fighting for tempo, completing your quest, staying down just a little bit, just an extra turn on 4, multiple turns on 5, that kind of thing. Zyrella for me just doesn't necessarily fit into that strategy. So interested to see how Senior Held gets on with this one.
yeah, I don't think we've seen too many like fantastic Zyrella performances in recent history of Battlegrounds Lobby Legends, but definitely a hero that can get top 4 quite often. We already had an interesting decision for Kunking here, taking the Sunbacon Relaxer that was buffed from the Daryl buff instead of the Picky Eater. I mean, sure, it's sort of the same amount of tempo, but Sunbacon Relaxer obviously has that incentive to be sold at some point. But I guess at the same time, the Picky Eater is also going to get sold at some point. So if you think of it that way, you might as well bank the 2 blood gems. It's more stats over time.
Precisely, yeah. It's a little bit weaker. It's 1-1 weaker in terms of tempo immediately, but a 4-5 or a 5-6, neither of those cards is hanging around on your board long term. So who cares, right? Just take the one that gives you the extra bit of value in the long term.
Murlocs are open, and I see a Snicker Snacks. Snicker, snacks, Snicker, snacks.
14 cards to hand, not that difficult, especially when Senior Held has held on to a Blood Gem generator here. Firstly, Quills are in, so that makes cards to hand a lot easier to begin with. Secondly, he does have the ability to add it straight away. However,
Knapsack, 4 Murlocs or beasts. See 1 beast in the shop, but none in the hand that were held on to. I don't know. I'm in a Murloc lobby. I'm just kind of a Snacks Force gamer.
If there's Murloc and like there was the crafty hidden Murloc there behind that. If there's a Murloc and a beast in that shop, yeah, you take Kidnap. It's like Kidnap Sack next turn a lot of the time, right? Like it has to be the choice. I fully agree with this.
Yeah. Well, I disagree.
That's fine. You're entitled to your incorrect opinions, TJ. That's fine.
They're not incorrect. It's subjective. It's fun.
It's fun.
Your objective is winning. My objective is winning the fun battle.
How's that going for you?
Going great.
Okay. And speaking of going great, Jinyu has found the Overseer on the 3-on-3 curve, which is the absolute dream. Which way round exactly this happened, which came from the Cookie Hero Power, which came from the shop, we'll never know unless Lorinda tells us. But either way, it's a
we'll still never know.
And then we'll never know, because who trusts Lorinda? Lorinda has confirmed. We'll never know. Okay. But either way, this is an incredibly high-tempo start. A little unfortunate, I would say, to be fighting a Sneed at that point in time, because one of the few things that would be able to combat with that, and that is an insane pickup now for Jinyu as well, munching on Quillbores. What is... Hello? What is happening?
That's the juice right there.
What are these shops?
That's what we call it in the biz.
X beasts or demons for Snicker Snacks. Okay, fine.
Snicker, snacks, Snicker, snacks. I don't think we have a wisdom ball in this game.
What is that, teacher? Why do you keep doing? Is that some sort of advertising jingle? What's happening?
An advertising jingle for Snicker snacks, maybe.
Wait, are Snicker Snacks a thing?
Yeah, it's a quest reward in Hearthstone Battlegrounds.
Oh, okay. No, I thought when you answered that, you were like, yes, it's from the television advert for Snicker Snacks.
I mean...
It sounds like a thing America would do, right? Is take Snickers and then find some way to like add 99% more processed sugar into it and then call them Snicker Snacks and then sell them to children. I mean, that sounds like a real thing that America would do. I don't know.
Speaking of America.
Kurt!
It's Kurt! You're not saying it right.
I can't, sorry. I have to pronounce vowels. I apologize.
Kurt.
Squirrel.
Yeah, you really gotta
Squirrel.
You really gotta get down low with the R, right? Like Kurt. Squirrel.
Can you say the sentence, Kurt sees an orange squirrel, please?
Kurt sees an orange squirrel. Real down deep with the R's.
Thank you. Appreciated.
Yeah, no problem. All right, looking at Oli. I hate Sneed.
Wow, tell us how you really feel.
It just never ends.
It's true, yeah.
I don't know how, but it just never does. Like I get to a late game against the Sneed, and I'm like, all right, I got him. And then something pops out, and then another thing pops out.
Yep. 6 drops just dropping Leroy's all of a sudden. Yeah, I was just about to point this out. Has a pretty dreamy quest for Sneed as well. 25 friendly minions die for start of turn 2 random Murlocs is pretty huge for Sneed. That's very, very quickly going to be completed. Likely we'll be getting 2 random Murlocs at the start of turn next turn, I believe. Was that 17 out of 25 we were looking at?
Oh, yeah. Unless Kun King is like really weak, but this board actually isn't particularly strong. Surprisingly, it really hasn't taken any damage so far this game, but I guess did have a good tempo start, and then from there has been like taverning up. He's been using a lot of the hero powers here, so.
Thank you, Lorinda, who is letting us know that the cookie is holding on to that triple that we saw in shop a couple of turns ago. So it looks like, as I was saying, not the most common thing in the world, players to freeze triples and greed them for multiple turns in this metagame, in my experience.
Especially with a zero armor hero.
Yeah, but it looks like that is going to be the case with Zhang Yu. But it does kind of make sense, because as we said, the position that he is in, he's monstrously strong with that double Overseer and the blood gems that he's been getting every single turn as well. So if anyone is in a position to be able to do that, Zhang Yu might be it.
Yeah. Well, Kun King is Daryl with tiny henchmen, so that could be a very interesting board in the next coming turns. Ooh.
None of those are named Felbat.
I mean, the Elder is pretty good.
Elder's good, yeah, but I'm not necessarily sure that Quillbore is ever really a world that you want to be in, but fine. He does have the duo already, which I think is the highest tempo option when you get Dark Gaze, right? Duo is the one that just grows ridiculously quickly.
You really want a giant selfless hero?
Yes, absolutely.
Just read the shop. I don't want it.
Actually, change my mind. You sell one more, right? I think you sell one, buy the selfless, roll one, buy one. Yeah, looks good to me.
I liked
Nothing scares me.
sell 2. No, sell 3, buy the selfless, and tavern up.
Okay, sure.
I'm just kidding. I don't.
Just start selling your 15/15s.
You just have a giant selfless hero and then a minion that already has Divine Shield.
Yep, sounds good.
That's it. That's the board. And you're at Tavern Tier 3. Cool.
I like this choice, by the way. Small details, but Kun King deciding essentially not deciding what he wants to taunt right now. You can taunt your Selfless, you can taunt a Divine Shield, you can taunt something else. These all have their relative merits based on late game decisions, like where everything else wants to go. Furthermore, he guarantees the Tiny Henchman quests on the minions that are actually going to be super relevant. So just all the small things being done right here from Kun King so far, and certainly does not need that extra minion on board, because we are at the stage in the game where Daryl is just monstrously powerful, just an order of magnitude stronger than everyone else in the game right now.
Yeah. Especially with Tiny Henchman. Like, it's just stats on stats.
Just pumping.
Yep.
Ooh, say, turn 7 cookbook online.
Okay.
Do we have any buffs yet? We will find out very soon.
I mean, I'd imagine there's one on the pup bot. Pup bot is a 3/2. I don't know for sure. I'm just.
What was the quest? The quest was friendly minions attack 16 times. Yeah, so it would seem that any minion in his hand. Oh, okay.
4/3.
Plus, yeah, okay, fine.
+5/+5 already. Nice.
Yeah, +5/+5 on the menagerie mug. Sure. Pretty good going. Has the Bran as well, which is massive, right, in terms of being able to generate some potential economy down the line. Although looking, dragons are out, so no Murazond potential.
Need a drink?
Can still find Murlocs for economy, though. There you go. I would like that exact shop, please.
You're down a minion and up a gold.
I'm just gonna freeze. I'm just buy one and then.
Bell 3, buy Tad. Bell 3.
Okay.
Oh, it gives a freeze. Okay. You could argue double sell Tad, sell something else, buy the Deflecto, especially since you have the Rendell on board right now, which, yeah, might do that, which is not ideal because that doesn't get the cookbook buff. And I think, yeah, I think Say kind of wrinkling his brow there did not necessarily consider this eventuality. The Rendell here kind of being as much of a detriment as it is a help at this point. I kind of want to argue for the sell 3 buy Deflecto plan, honestly.
Still in a very strong position with the early cookbook.
Ooh.
Already a lot of buffs. And what? Okay, Tudu's dead.
I
I didn't even look at the health total.
Varden crashing and burning. I think Varden, one of the biggest feast or famine heroes in the game. They can absolutely pop off if you are able to get some strong pairs or triples early, and then start getting some fairly kind rolls in the late game. But when you miss as Varden, you miss so incredibly hard. Like, you have very high potential for your hero power to just do absolutely nothing over the course of the game, and then you die, which, having not seen Tatu up until this point, I would imagine is what has happened.
Oh yeah. Trickster on my fantasy team. The red hand plus rag. You know how much I love stats, Sottle. And had a mech roll too.
Yeah.
There's pretty good synergy with
Okay.
both of those things. So Trickster will be good to keep an eye on as this game goes on. But it's also a Murloc lobby. But mech rolls can be pretty good, especially if you can get the mech rolls to pretty decent size, whether it be rag or grease bot later on.
Yeah, even Ball of Minions these days, right, as well, is a massively impactful change that's hit the game recently, essentially replacing Amalgam with Ball of Minions, which has become, yes, it's Tavern 4, so it's rarer. It comes later in the game. There's less of them that you find. I think when you find Ball of Minions, though, in a shop, it's good so much more often than a late-game Amalgam was in a lot of positions. Like, Amalgam was only ever really bought in the late game to put Divine Shield and Poison on. A Ball of Minions, like, if it's a pirate, sick, you buy it. You know, if you're playing Infinite Hogger, it's insane. If you're playing Nomi and you roll into it, sick, it's insane. If you're playing Lil Rag and you roll into it, it's insane. It's just a good card.
Yeah.
Again, Sneed fight's an absolute nightmare to predict. I'm realizing now I should not have said that out loud because I'll give Lorinda ideas any moment now. But we've got to see how many layers of Death Rattle that we do have in here.
There's none.
Not enough, yeah. They all went down early as I was beginning that sentence.
Yeah. Then Oliak needs to start finding some big stuff. Does have the 2 random Murlocs at the beginning of the turn, so can kind of beat these stats a little bit. Needs to start getting that poisonous.
And so Senior Held on the Zyrella has actually started rolling with the Leapfroggers.
Okay.
And that is going to be a Baron surviving win as well. So big damage coming through to Janu.
I'm actually really curious to see what Kun King's been up to, because we haven't seen Kun King since like turn 5 or turn 6.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
that's the stuff.
pretty good. All right, you can leave now.
Yeah, floating the 1. There's nothing that you can do in that situation, I don't think, to spend that 1 gold efficiently. Obviously didn't see what got him into that position, but no way to sell enough stuff. You want to sell way more stuff than just 2 minions before buying that Deflecto, so you just kind of have to sit there and hold the 1 burnt gold.
Ooh, okay.
Goldrin, the only thing that really factors.
Yeah.
Necrolite just buffing minions along the way. This is important. This is good play from Senior Hell, just adding stats where possible to his minions. Reason being, if opponent plays Tunnel Blaster against you, you lose a massive amount of your board if you don't buff the minions. You can lose all of your rats, so rat packs and sewer rats. And then if you don't have any death rattles left on your board, the frogs don't have enough time to duplicate, even if you have Golden Baron and whatever else. A lot of people still think that Zap is the best counter to Leapfrogs. It's not. It is Tunnel Blaster in most scenarios, and that's what Senior Held is currently in the process of playing around by just adding that little bit of stats here and there to his board.
Yeah, and to be honest, there's not like that much to spend your gold on as Leapfroggers anyway. So you might as well be looking for those things early on in the game, because you often find these times where you're literally just rolling for like one or two specific things in the later stages, because once you reach a certain point, it just gets difficult to improve your board. You're just looking to hold on to techs and increase your stats where you can.
Now, where these initial frogs land is going to be important. So far, so good. Yeah, I mean, decent outcomes so far for Kurt. Basically, you want as many of the frogs to go right as possible, because it means that less duplicate over the course of the fight. But I still think, unless this Baron attack goes through immediately, which it's not going to, because the Sewer Rat now gets to attack into the Divine Shield Poison and summon the taunts, it looks to me like the Zyrella is okay from here.
Yep.
Oh, actually, there's a Void Lord. That Void Lord's a big deal, because that means the Rat does not now duplicate, but it also means this Baron doesn't duplicate. Where does this attack go? Yeah, it's still not going to be good enough. Cut down on a lot of damage, though, I think, in the end, with the Rat not splitting. I think that Rat would have split open if it wasn't for the Void Lord in the end, so just taking the 3 damage from the Rat as opposed to the full board.
Ooh. Okay. When you went in on the Quilboars, held on to the Darkly's Elder that he hit very early on with the held triple.
Dark Glaze Elder?
Glare.
Dark
I got
Gaze.
Snicker Snacks on the brain.
I know, you're just thinking of donuts now and like...
Ooh, I could use a little bit of a Snicker Snack donut right now. A little bit of dark glaze on the top.
Does have the luxury of fighting the Ghost here as well, so can pretty much just set this up for the following turns. All right. Here's your Red Hand Rag you were so excited about a couple of turns ago. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Got a ball of minions in hand with Red Hand. That's the stuff right there. That's
Also,
the stuff.
I mean, this board state is quite impressive. What's more impressive is that Trickster has a stable internet connection from the desert temple that he's currently streaming from, which...
Looks pretty cool.
It does.
Air of mystery.
Just don't dig too far down or you'll find the TNT, and that won't end well for anyone.
How long has this ball of minions been in hand? That's what I want.
Great question. That is a fantastic question.
Rinda.
Sottle would know if he was spectating.
Lorinda said, great question.
Oh, the Leroy up first.
Oh.
That's the kind of situation where if that happens to you as a streamer, you go on a 45-minute rant about how you're being stream sniped, right? When you have Mecro on the far right and your opponent just has any form of brain, yeah, can't accept that. Absolutely has to be being stream sniped. This is so much damage coming through. That Deflecto's going to have to do so much work. But the 1-1... Okay, the 1-1 didn't bump the shield. That means there's a good chance here for this to clean up some of the damage. Does take the 6-drop and the 5-drop down with it in the end. Big deal for Trickster in terms of reducing damage at the end, though.
Yeah, that was fortunate, to say the least, given how that looked right at the beginning. Maybe we'll get a look at ball of minions, but... 17. Okay, whatever. That was first turn. Whatever. But does get Toxfin. So setting that up. Buff could go on the Toxfin, though, which is a little bit awkward for the Red Hand if you want to keep with the ball of minions going. I guess you could just put it on the board now if you find like an Annoy module, but...
Yeah.
Because this road board is not doing much more, so you have 2 easy cells.
And this is one of my biggest problems with Red Hand as a quest reward is there's a lot of lobby. Like, this lobby setup is one of the biggest ones for it because it's mechs and murlocs. In a mech plus murloc lobby, you buy most Toxfins and Annoyer modules that you see at any point, right? And then you just hold on to them until you're able to get those Divine Shield poisons down later. But, you know, yes, the Annoyer module, sure, you can argue holding that in hand for a few turns is fine. But in spots like this, it can be a little bit awkward overall, force you to use cards immediately or get weird buffs. Senior Held now, speaking of weird buffs, does have the Golden Baron rolling with this Leapfrogger comp. So he is looking like the player to beat in this one. But I wouldn't mind, doesn't have to be right now, but taking a look at Say again in the near future, because we've probably missed 4 or 5 turns of cookbook scaling now at this point. So interested to see where Say has got to. That's pretty good.
Eh.
Eh.
Eh. I was expecting bigger.
Okay.
That's on the right track. There we go. That's a little bigger. Yeah, that's fine.
Just poison Tad, okay. Fine. Sure.
27, 28.
I think
Oh,
you
jeez.
can
Okay.
win this thing.
This is Zanyu on the what was originally Quillbore scaling, but is no longer Quillbore scaling. But these poisons have gone down too early, and the Battlemaster will be able to solo from here. So big damage for Say.
Yeah. Pretty interesting board, to be honest, from Shinju. It's just raw stats, at least for the time being. It won't hold up, but it does have Tunnel Blaster, so might feel like he's fine against everything else. But here we go, the Golden Baron and Leapfrogger.
Yeah, that one's already over.
Yeah.
Oliak being taken down as well.
Gosh.
Yeah, no way back from here. There was already no way back before we cut away for the death. Big damage as well from a Leapfrogger board. Normally, fighting Leapfroggers at this point in the game is fine. You lose because you haven't had time to set up your counter tech, but you tend not to lose by much. That was a monstrous beating in terms of how much damage a Leapfrogger board does to you.
I'll do what I can.
All right, good old Kurt.
Hey, watch out.
Agam. You're in a white man in hand. Are we going to transfer the stats over to the Hydra, I'd imagine, with the Necrolite?
Yeah, so I suspect that the Hydra white main is the plan for dealing with the Leapfroggers.
Yeah. In that case, do you even need to transfer the stats yet? I guess you still do, because the Baron is quite large. I don't even think... I think it's even got 20 health at the moment. And it's just better to have the stats, since the Bald Minions already has Divine Shield poisons anyway, so...
That's a useful freeze on the other side there as well, because it allows him to get out of white main and then pick up a spare white main again for the future if he needs it again for another Leapfroggers fight.
Yeah. And could pick up Leroy as well, just to have a second one in case you go up against like Divine Shield Murlocs. All right, here we go. Oh, put the white main second from the left.
Wants to go
Preserve the opportunity.
second, does go second. Okay, big hit, big hit. And that, from here, could be 24. Like, this could be death from this position.
Oh, yeah. Especially if... no, the white man should die.
Well... You say that.
Okay, nope.
3-3? Okay.
Oh, okay.
How much damage is left now? Kurt is on 6. That's 6, 12, 17, 21, 23. It's still lethal. It's still lethal. That's going to be enough.
Wow. The white man tech and putting it second from the left. Senior Hell even moved the Baron over to try and give protection against it, but Nice little spot by Kurt, and I mean, Senior Herald was really strong, like really strong. Uh-oh.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
18. Oh, the gas coiler, always a scary moment when it comes down to those situations. That was a lot of damage from the gas coiler, but not enough.
You want a golden deflecto?
Yeah, I don't think so from that position. Oh, okay. We're into a Barrow's Blessing. You love to see it.
Yeah, let's step up our game.
Very, very close one. Tons of stats, Divine Shield and Poison on both sides. I do think that Cleave/Taunted Leroy interaction is something that we might need to look out for, though.
The runes whisper of your demise.
I'm waiting till the last second to see where Kurt ends up putting this Hydra, if he keeps it first.
Double Leroy in hand as well, which could be committed here. I think because Kurt is at 17, will probably feel like he doesn't necessarily have to go all in this turn. Might just be sitting here. No, okay, it's going to go a little bit further. Drop a Leroy. That's a big deal. You go Taunted Leroy here as well, which I think is a big deal for the way this fight could pan out on the other side now.
Oh, we went for different Barrow's Blessing choices.
I had Say typed in and changed it to Kurt on the Taunted Leroy. That is not looking good so far for Kurt, though. The Taunted Leroys did not work out, and that means that Say is going to take this one down from here. Good job, TJ.
It's not going to be a huge amount of damage, though.
Going to be a W, though, and that means Say keeps on marching. Every extra turn you live with Cookbook feels like a new lease on life.
Ooh. And King went for that, had the big tempo start with Daryl, Tiny Henchman, but the scaling just wasn't there. So he's going to fall. And was that 39 health, what, 2-3 turns ago?
Yeah, welcome
and
to
lost
Daryl.
it all very quickly.
Yup.
Straight to the bottom. So, and interestingly enough, we do have a Murloc lobby, but there's not really many pure Murloc players that are in the top. And in fact, there's not that many Poison Murlocs in general. We may start moving in that direction, but in terms of a top 4 with Murlocs, this is less than we normally see.
Yes, and if you turn back time, TJ, if you could find a way... Thank you. TJ, Raven never gets my Boomer Power Ballad references. I mentioned this in game 1, right? Is like, what is a Murloc lobby about? And I think in this instance, this is the Mechs plus Beasts Murloc lobby, which is about as weak as Murlocs can be in a Murloc lobby, because traditionally massive deflectos, like cooked book deflectos, that can beat Murlocs, and leapfroggers with Baron tends to beat Murlocs as well, depending on the tech cards that are available on the other side. So I think a lot of people are kind of on scissors here, which is the things that beat Murloc, and very few people are on paper, which is the Murlocs themselves.
What's rock?
Yeah, it's not really rock, paper,
Beasts.
scissors. Yeah, it's scissors, paper, but then scissors and paper both beat everything else that's available in the lobby. So I'm not quite sure what that analogy would end up being.
Or rock.
Yeah. So Darok instead of a rock, right? Just loses to everything. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, okay. Actually, sold off a minion to make sure, or ended with 6 to make sure that they would attack first to get the Tunnel Blaster off and then attack.
Yeah, it was really cool, actually.
Shields would reset.
Yep, Tunnel Blaster tech. so he gets a Divine Shield back on his Mech Roll because it's a Mech Roll, and then he had the guaranteed minion to die, as TJ was saying. I think that was a very, very nice setup indeed. Still is going to take a small loss here, though, I think, depending on how these trades go.
Well, it's a loss no matter what, because that has microbots.
Yeah, but there was a way. No, something had to hit the Divine Shield, right? Yeah, yeah. So it was always going to be a loss. That's right.
Okay. Ah, Kurt fell! Kurt's down!
No!
There goes my band.
Kurt down! We never leave a Kurt behind.
I'm literally just going Kurt every time for bandwagon.
I'm realizing that Lorinda actually has a massive degree of control over my bandwagon picks because I'm kind of mandated to bandwagon on turn 1 because of one of the puzzle box questions. So basically, whoever Lorinda shows us first, if they have a decent start, I'm picking them, right? Like, that's basically how this is going to work.
I mean, you picked Say both times, and I picked Kurt both times.
Yeah, but Say was our first POV both times, is the thing. I'm not necessarily just picking Say because I like Say, even though I do.
Oh, Sottle, we're the same.
Same.
Guide me.
Everyone just hanging around with a white mane in hand here and there, making sure, even with the leapfroggers dead, with Senior Held just getting absolutely smacked by the white mane cleave earlier in the game.
Champions.
Very, very useful card, of course, for dealing with Deflectos as well, which is largely what this lobby has devolved into. White mane's going up first to be able to deal with that Deflecto problem.
Yep.
I believe this means that Sesase is fighting the Ghost this turn, so decent chance that Sesase ends up in our top 2, who again is my bandwagon pick for this game.
Double taunt. Ooh.
Ooh, it's maybe if no, actually.
Yeah. What if? Ooh, nope. Oh.
Well, you no. So the real question here is live? Question mark.
Yeah.
Battlemaster still has a lot of work to do. Trickster is only on 5. It would be Meckrel plus something else that would have to survive. Depending on now how this poison attack goes. Okay.
Oh, could be a tie.
Don't hit the poison. Oh, okay.
Still alive, though.
Still alive, yeah. Is bad news for our hero. Sesase not advancing up the rankings based on this ghost fight. And it will now be Trickster who is rewarded. Ah, yeah. Magnetic.
Sesase is just transitioned like 6 times because of Cookbook. Every time we look at Sesase, it's just a different board. I mean, these stats are just monstrous.
Just has a taunted 90-80 golden Leroy. My favorite part of this comp. Some debate on the end of this turn as to how to play it. So you could just play your module on the Meckrel and then double sell the minions you have to proc Cookbook once more. You could just taunt the Meckrel. So there's this play, which is taunt the Meckrel and drop the additional reset on the board. And then there was also this play without playing the module on the Meckrel and just playing the additional reset on the board, all of which has merit. Giving the Meckrel taunt isn't necessarily an upside in high-level games. Like, the Infinite Divine Shield train scams a lot of people in lower MMR lobbies, but higher MMR lobbies are so Leroy-dominated when we get to this point in the game that sometimes taunting your Meckrel just means you lose your Meckrel to the Leroy that your opponent has at the start.
Yeah. That's where the 91-81 taunted Leroy comes in.
Yes. Six minion white main yet again, which means double taunts on the deflectos. Still gets very, very good trades with the deflectos, though, even with the divine shields, and that is going to be an absolute spanking on the other side for Zunyu. Well, no, actually. The Leroy's still alive.
Even if this gas cooler had reborn and summoned 4 Leroys, it would still be a loss.
Can you just hit the Leroy? Just. Okay, thank you. No, it's alive. Oh my god. Okay, fine.
It's alive. It lives. Whew. All right. Oh no!
No! Oh no! Oh no! No! I mean, yes! Yes! No, exactly like this! Oh, say! Bandwagon pick! Turn 1! Believers in chat, you are welcome! It took me exactly 1 attempt because I didn't even try first game. I literally forgot to do it. 1 attempt. 1, TJ.
This,
Analytical mind of the century right here. Look at me. Bask in my glory.
This severely hurts my chances of getting that puzzle box question right. I need a wisdom ball game to bring me back in the points.
Oh, what a guy. What a guy.
Yep. Now it makes me even more mad that Tudu didn't win the first lobby. Because at least we would have been tied on puzzle box points. I'm getting crushed.
You are, yeah.
Well, my fantasy team did okay because I have Trickster and Kurt, and they both finished in the top 4. And we
Yeah, you don't.
That's
You don't have Say, and you don't have Kun King, and they're the 2 that have won the 2 lobbies, and I have both of them.
a fair point. I think we should just skip the whole thing at the end of the broadcast where we show the casters' points.
I was genuinely worried that TJ, who, you know, doesn't play that much Battlegrounds, and me that plays more Battlegrounds than Constructed these days, and TJ was just going to high roll everything and absolutely stomp me in points, which could still happen, by the way. There's still a long way to go. But more importantly...
Dispel this myth, okay?
Okay, fine.
I play a ton of Battlegrounds.
Okay, sorry, let me rephrase. TJ, who's
not
terrible
good.
at Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, getting away from us and focusing back on the far more important thing, which is the players that we have in front of us. You can see now that top 3, Zunyu, Kun King, and Say in the top 3. Kurt now hanging on to that crucial 4th place, which will be making TJ very happy right now. One more game to play in Lobby A to decide what that top 4 cutoff is going to be. Senior held in both of our fantasy teams, I believe, not looking too shiny right now.
Yeah. It was a good pick, though. Senior Health had some good results recently. But not doing so well today. Actually really liked his position, though, in that previous game, but just got white main cleave sniped. But outside of that, could have had, if it wasn't specifically Kurt with specifically that snipe, right? Only one that had cleave in the entire lobby. That could have changed if Senior Health was still in there, right? Especially with Say with that giant cookbook. Could have just picked one up along the way.
Yeah.
Senior Health could have easily gotten a top 3, I think, if it wasn't just that scenario that happened to him.
And that's the big advantage of having the cleave alongside it, right? Is you don't have to hit the Baron with the white main. If you have a cleave, you're massively favored to put the Baron in danger, because they're not going to put it first, they're not going to put it second, they're not going to put it third. You're kind of mandated to have Frog, Bird, etc. like going along that first queue. So it's basically 5th, 6th, 7th that they have to decide between most of the time. And you can cover basically all of that with a cleave and a white main in 6th position, as we saw there. So, yep, rough one in the end for Senior Held, but we do have one more game left to go.
Yep, that is right. Before we jump into that 3rd and final game for this Lobby A, we are going to have to go to a quick break, but don't go anywhere. 4 players that will be moving on to our final day on Sunday will be determined right after this.